field investigation finding obsolescence. Do you know why you're here, Mr. Wordsworth?
Yes, sir.
I'd ask you to speak up a little, if you will.
Yes, sir, I know why I'm here.
You've been under investigation, Mr. Wordsworth, for the mandatory period of 1 year and 11 months. You're found to be obsolete. The purpose of this hearing is to make a finding in the matter and make a sentence accordingly. Do you understand that?
Yes, I understand that.
Your occupation, Mr. Wordsworth?
A librarian.
Of what?
A librarian, sir.
Has this man had counsel?
Yes, sir, he has.
Are you sure he knows his rights?
He's been given orientation, sir.
Mr. Wordsworth, I'm told that you've had counsel. Stand back in the light, Mr. Wordsworth. I'm told you've had counsel and been given orientation, Mr. Wordsworth, but I'm still not sure in my own mind that you understand the purpose of this hearing. The field investigators in your sector have classified you as obsolete. This finding carries with it serious implications. Do you understand that, Mr. Wordsworth? Now I ask you again, your occupation?
I am a librarian, sir. That is my occupation. That is my profession. If you people choose to call that obsolete...
Request clarification of the term?
Yes, the term, Mr. Wordsworth, you people. You make reference to the state?
I make reference to the state.
And you persist in declaring your occupation as being that of a librarian, is that correct?
That is correct, sir.
A librarian. Having to do with books.
Yes, sir. Books.
Since there are no more books, Mr. Wordsworth, there are no more libraries. And of course it follows that there is very little call for the services of a librarian. Case in point, a minister. A minister would tell us that his function is that of preaching the word of God. And of course it follows that since the state has proven that there is no God, that would make the function of a minister somewhat academic as well.
There is a God.
You are in error, Mr. Wordsworth. There is no God. The state has proven that there is no God.
You cannot erase God with an edict.
You are obsolete, Mr. Wordsworth.
A lie. No man is obsolete.
You have no function, Mr. Wordsworth. You're an anachronism, like a ghost from another time.
I am nothing more than a reminder to you that you cannot destroy truth by burning pages.
You're a bug, Mr. Wordsworth, a crawling insect, an ugly, misformed little creature who has no purpose here, no meaning.
I am a human being.
You're a librarian, Mr. Wordsworth. You're a dealer in books and 2-cent fines and pamphlets and closed stacks and the musty insides of a language factory that spews out meaningless words on an assembly line. Words, Mr. Wordsworth, that have no substance and no dimension.
Dictator,
like the wind,
Obama,
like a vacuum that you make believe has an existence by scribbling.
Twilight Zone, coming real.
I tell you, I don't care. I'm a human being. I exist. If I speak one thought aloud, that thought lives. Even after I'm shoveled into my grave.
Delusions, Mr. Wordsworth. Delusions that you inject into your veins with printer's ink. The narcotics that you call literature. The Bible, poetry, essays, all kind, all of it an opiate. To make you think you have a strength when you have no strength at all. You have nothing but spindly limbs and a dream. And the state has no use for your kind.
The people have no use for your kind.
And you're not worth the waste. Instruct him.
Romney Wordsworth, step back to await the finding of this board.
Yes.
How do you find, ladies and gentlemen?
Obsolete.
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 I concur.
Romney Wordsworth, step forward. The board finds you obsolete.
Your rights are as follows.
We
Mr.
find the
Wordsworth.
government
You are
obsolete.
to be liquidated within a period of 48 hours, but you have an option as to method and precise time. There are several prescribed methods, Mr. Wordsworth. Pills, gas, electrocution, and it can be done immediately or an hour from now or any specific time that you request.
I'm a very rich man.
Louder.
I merely said that I As a very rich man, I have such a luxury of choices that I choose the following. To be given an assassin to whom I shall tell the method of my execution.
This is unheard of.
Mr. Wordsworth, we don't understand the nature of the request.
Simply that you are to assign me my assassin, but only he and I will know the way that I'm to die.
That will be acceptable, Mr. Wordsworth, provided your liquidation is accomplished within the 48-hour period.
Just one final request. I should like to die with an audience.
Ah, Mr. Wordsworth, that can be arranged indeed. It's not unusual that we televise executions. It has an educative effect on the population.
I have no doubt.
Now, as to the time of the liquidation, Mr. Wordsworth?
Midnight tomorrow.
And the place?
In my room.
Agreed, Mr. Wordsworth. We will choose your liquidator and send him over to you. He will be duty-bound, just as you prescribed, not to divulge the method you've decided upon. That will be all, Mr. Wordsworth. You may leave and return to your room.
That's dictatorship right there. And that's what you're headed for, America.
Yes, to our advantage. We'll show the people how this obsolete man, this librarian, dies.